Hello and welcome to our day early comic review show. I'm Jason
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics from Chattanooga, Tennessee. You may notice our format looks a little different for a Tuesday show. It looks more like our Friday Comics from the Future show.
Yes.
And the reason is we are not actually filming this a day early. We're several days early.
hmm
Myself and Megan, we're taking a few days off. And so we're not going to be around for our Friday or Tuesday shows. So we're filming them together.
So you're actually right now on the beach,
I hope.
soaking up some rays.
That's right. I'm gonna watch this show just so I can be like,
That'll be
it
so
happened.
weird. It's like you like have two bodies. You have a clone.
Vacation meta. So, but the good news is, even though we don't have the Tuesday books, we do have previews on at least 9 of the books. We have 5 full ones we've read, and then 4 where we got some preview pages. So we have some things to talk about. We didn't want to leave everyone in the lurch, and we know a lot of people view this show wanting to know what to get the next day. So we're gonna do the reviews of the ones that we have read, and then after that, we're gonna go through all the other big books of the week, even though we don't have those yet.
Right.
So that's why we have this format, because I have nothing to hold
I
here.
was about to say, I really shouldn't
Yeah.
have grabbed a Mountain Dew because now it's like,
The green screen is.
ooh, I didn't realize we're using green screen.
Okay, so let's get started. So Andy, you read.
I actually
DC
read a
versus
lot
Vampires.
of these books, which is
Yeah.
exciting. And it's funny, I read this one maybe a week or two ago. And before we did, I actually read this before we did the Comics for the Future on this issue.
Yeah, they had it out.
So I had
early.
to like refresh myself. But my review still remains. I thought this was awesome. This is DC versus vampires, DC Universe versus vampires, whatever you want to call it. And in it, we have a character that I don't know if a lot of people are super familiar with, which is Andrew Bennett, I Vampire. There's a really good, when New 52 started, there was an I Vampire series that people should go back and check out because it's actually really good. But he is kind of, I don't want to say DC's Morbius, but he's kind of that like,
Marvel and DC never borrow from
I know,
each other.
but he's kind of like that, I'm a vampire, but I'm a good one
Right.
type thing. Yeah, I guess Morbius was a villain, but he's walked that line.
Right.
Well, Andrew Bennett comes like wrapped up because of the sun and everything to the Hall of Justice, and he is warning the Justice League that something's about to go down with the vampires. But I'm trying not to give too much away now that I've read this, but it's really good. The setup is really good.
Is this in regular continuity?
No.
Okay.
And this is also by James Tynion. So, I mean, this is like, you thought he was done with DC after Batman. Nope. This is just the beginning of this series. So, the only people currently at home on the Hall of Justice are, to begin with, Green Lantern. And so, he has to tell the story to Green Lantern about something has happened to, what's her name? Mary, Queen of Blood, who was like the queen of the vampires. Something has happened to her. I won't say what, but she has been taken off the table, and she was what was keeping kind of the clans of vampires at bay. Now, there's really nothing to stop them from enacting their big plans. And it's going to be up to, as you can see on the cover, Batman and the Justice League to stop them. But maybe that the vampires have gotten in a little bit deeper than you think. They might be more places than just where you think. So
possibly have already turned.
There may
other
already
heroes
be some
and villains.
Yes.
I have not read this, so I can speculate all.
Wait, this is yeah. So with this one, it's crazy because we've got the zombies, with deceased,
right,
and now we are getting vampires, where the same thing works. If somebody who has powers gets turned into a vampire, they've still got their powers. So how does that influence what it's like to be a vampire? And Batman, is he also prepared to fight vampires?
I would say yes.
I would say
everything.
he's got a whole Universal Monsters closet that's for vampires, it's for werewolves. But the art, and this is by Otto Schmidt, who, if you read any of the Rebirth Green Arrow series, which was excellent, he was the artist on that. Great to see him back working on stuff. I thought this was a really, really awesome beginning to a big story.
That's good because it's 12 issues.
It's
so
12
this is
issues.
A year's worth of it coming up.
Yes, exactly. So be those, tie-in or like, oh, this isn't the main continuity. We've learned some of the best stuff is from DC with like Deceased and some of those Elseworld stories. So,
all right, and then we have
the MATTINA variant cover.
Looking very.
I've got a lot of MATTINA on my list this week, so he's working overtime. But
I'd like to address. I hit the wrong button, and we had a little glitch there. So if anybody saw a little glitch, you didn't miss anything. You missed like 2 words.
I spoiled everything right there in that little skip.
Okay, so continuing on, I read this new comic called Cross to Bear from Aftershock Comics. This is pretty interesting. I remember when we had this on Comics from the Future. It promised a lot of different things all mixed together, and it is all there. It's set in the Wild West, yet it has roots that go back to the Crusades, like the knights in the Crusades. So you can see a knight up top, yet those are sort of Wild West people more on there. So what it is the Crusader Knights weren't just doing what we know they were doing. They also had a special order within them that were going after, it's hard to tell what they are yet. It seems like either monsters posing as mankind or maybe demons. But these are bad people. And the main one that they bring up in this book is Jack the Ripper. Okay, so Jack the Ripper, he's left London. This is after all that. And he's gone to the Wild West. Well, one of the members of this order happens to be out in the Wild West. In fact, he's a member who left the order a long time ago. He seems to be our focal character. And it seems like he had it with all the killing. He had it with, how long can you do that? I'm assuming these people are semi-immortal, considering they're from that long ago. So he's trying to live out his days in the Wild West, which is already crazy and wild. When you see his life, it's like, why did you even leave these nights when you're in the Wild West, getting in bar fights and stuff? But Jack the Ripper, it turns out, has gone there. And so one of the other old knights goes to him and pretty much begs him to rejoin. You'll have to see how that goes. But he's not just there because he's there. He's there because Jack the Ripper's there. And, what has Jack the Ripper done lately? Well, he's killed a bunch of their members.
Done some ripping.
Yeah, not just on Women in the Night, though. This time it seems that it has been some of the people in their order, and it seems like our main character really doesn't want to join back up, but we'll see how that goes. This
so
is
you don't quite know if Jack the Ripper is. He's clearly not human.
They make indications that what they're hunting are not just crazy humans, that they have powers. And it seems like the people of this order probably have some sort of powers that haven't been shown off either. There was a lot to get in this first issue, but they do a good job of it. It's all told very clearly. The art is really good. Whoever's doing the art is very good at doing sort of Wild West setting. I got the atmosphere. The atmosphere just sort of comes right out of the book. Yeah. So I thought it was a good, strong issue for those of you who are interested in pretty much the things that I just brought up about it. So.
Next up, we have Taskforce Z. So this is a new one from Matthew Rosenberg. And this is interesting, too, because this feels like, oh, this is a Halloween book. But it's not really. I feel like this is... more than, you can kind of get the idea, the Z, zombie, or whatever, but this feels like it's going to have some ramifications in the DC universe. This is in continuity. And Red Hood has been put in charge of a team, Task Force Z. I'm not even sure if they really call it that in the story, but it is a team of criminals, much like Task Force X and Suicide Squad. But these are people who... you would have thought that they were dead.
Yeah, didn't a lot of these characters die in EDDY?
Yes. So, without revealing what it is, this new corporation called Project Halperin also known as the Chop Shop, has found something that reanimates bodies, but less zombie, more of like that kind of the original meaning of zombie, like with the X, where they're not like brain hungry zombies. These are more like slaves,
Right.
like mentally
They're
controlled.
right?
Yeah, but they are characters that have died, like Bane, and Red Hood is less of a like team leader and more of like a handler. Like I got to keep these guys from running off or doing something they're not supposed to. And of course, this is not a great idea. I mean, trying to use one like characters that already you couldn't control.
It's like, you think the Suicide Squad's a bad idea? Well, I got a better one.
Exactly. Like Man-Bat is in this, and Man-Bat has, kind of turned a new leaf recently until Man-Bat died.
Yeah,
in
very suddenly.
Very suddenly. And now Man-Bat is horrifying again, swooping down and attacking people. And it's still a little unclear how much free will they have. But there's definitely moments where Red Hood's like, back off a little bit. But it's very interesting. I feel like this has quite a few first appearances because we do have this new group that Red Hood is working for, and so we have the kind of leader who kind of gives them a tour of the place and all that. But also we have a character called Hannah. She has a longer name, but she's basically like, call me Hannah. A few key things to notice about her. One, her speech bubbles are in a different color. They're a little bit more yellow. But she's very calm. She's very easy to talk to.
Sounds super powered or supernatural.
Exactly. And there's a moment where he leaves and he asks the person who's kind of giving the tour, like, why is she in a maximum security holding cell? And they're like, don't talk about it or whatever. So it's really cool. It's kind of setting up some mysteries, like, who are these new characters? Do they have abilities?
Somebody's got to be bringing the zombies back. I mean, it could be technology, but could it also be a power? Or...
It is completely explained in this how they're being brought back, and it's something that you would recognize, but never used in this way. So I really also like Taskforce Z. DC's been knocking out of the park with some of their newer stuff, and I think they work really well when they do a little bit horror elements. So.
And I'm glad they got it out for October.
Yes, and if people have been wanting some Red Hood, I mean, this is a Red Hood book. This could easily be called like Red Hood and the Taskforce Z or something. So he's the main character. Then we have the variant cover, and this one is also I believe this is the Tyler Kirkham variant.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Moon Knight #4. Now, this is a book I can't wait to read the entirety of. We only were sent 4 or 5 preview pages. They had dialogue, though, and I did glean some things from it. So I've really been enjoying the Moon Knight series. Really, really enjoying it. This issue starts out great. So right off the bat, on the cover, you can see that Tigra is going to be in it. Now, she used to be with Moon Knight in the West Coast Avengers, and yes, they do bring it up.
Oh, good. I love the idea of this Moon Knight, who's like pretty dark, instead of being like, you were on West Coast Avengers.
So you're going to like this book a lot then, because a lot of that gets addressed. A lot of his darkness gets addressed because Tigra knows him.
Yeah.
She's not all about this new, I don't take my mask off, I don't tell anyone my name. That is not the Mark Spector she knows, and she really calls him out on it, but in a comical way.
Yeah.
That part had me smiling. It's some really good writing in this. But the other side to it, the story itself is called Blackmail. And I got to see some of that in these pages. It says that an enemy from the shadows goes after Moon Knight in a whole different way. And what I'll say is, it is a blackmail way. You'll have to see. Like, if you can't mentally control someone, if you can't, physically overpower someone, what's another way that you can control someone? Like, even in real life, you'll have to see how this person, through just one telephone call and just some things they're doing and some words they say, are able to get Moon Knight to kind of have to admit, well, I guess I kind of work for you at the moment.
Hmm.
Now, I didn't get to see where it goes. This is just the first 4 or 5 pages, but really, really good. This new enemy, I don't believe it's Hunter's Moon,
Hmm.
because you would think, oh, it's just Hunter's Moon.
Yeah.
Now, didn't get a good look, but I think it's somebody else. So I wish I had more. I can't wait to read the full thing. There's a good chance I'll find a comic store where I'm going and I'll be buying this and reading it
Yeah.
right now. So, but that's my early review of Moon Knight #4. And then we have the CASSARA Stormbreakers variant. Like I say, every time Moon Knight comes up, these artists are just having such a great time.
Yeah. And I like that it looks like
These
they're really
covers.
tying Moon Knight back into the Egyptian
Yeah.
origin, which
Mhm.
is something it's been explored a little bit, but not to the extent like this variant cover is doing.
That's
It's
true.
cool.
And you're getting a lot of that in the Kang series now too.
Hmm. Next up is a hard one. It's going to be hard for me to talk about without spoiling the big spoiler of it, because this is a very odd series. One just to come out. Aquaman doesn't have a series right now, and Green Arrow doesn't have a series right now, but they are getting this team up book called Aquaman Green Arrow Deep Target. This is going to be 7 issues long, and this first issue, um, it kind of is playing a little a game with you where you read most of the issue and you're thinking one thing, but very quickly they do one thing and you go, oh, now I've got to go back and think how I just read all of that. So that's definitely a plus for this, because it's I don't want to say a straightforward issue, but it begins with it kind of strikes you as like a businessman or somebody who has a lot of money. He's got a very nice suit on, and he is attempting something to bring, it seems, maybe dinosaurs back, which is very weird to start an Aquaman Green Arrow story with that.
A Jurassic Park gentleman.
But it's a very like cold open, and you're kind of like, what is this? And then it jumps 3 years into the future, and you're following Green Arrow, but with like a scuba pack on, and he is going to visit Aquaman in Atlantis because something has gone down. So I do think it's funny. You have these two characters who look very similar, especially now that Aquaman has the beard and the long hair. Green Arrow has the beard and the short blonde hair, but they're very similar characters, and that is played with this.
Both wear lots of green.
Both wear lots of green. But you'll have to see, because there's definitely a twist in this that maybe leads you to think, is this the normal DC universe or is this something else? Because we get a hint at who that person was at the beginning, and they may be somebody who you did not expect. So you can't tell from this first issue, is this our universe? Is this the main DC universe? Is this something else? And do the people in it realize that maybe they're not in the main DC universe? So I feel like, I mean, it's a great cover and everything, but it doesn't quite capture the depth of what this story might end up being. I don't quite know what the overall thing is going to be, other than that kind of mystery around the kind of page turn reveal that makes you rethink the whole issue.
Yeah, you told me the cover secret, and I still.
Yeah, if you see the cover, there is a clue onto it to what is actually going on in this. And I thought it was really cool. Of course, I'm a huge Aquaman fan, but I even saw from some of the variant covers coming up, there's one where Aquaman is wearing his blue suit that he hasn't worn since a like 5-issue miniseries in the 80s and stuff. And it's like, that version of Aquaman has been talked about. Was that actually the real Aquaman, or was that someone else? It's kind of been a hazy area in Aquaman's history, and it makes me think maybe some of that kind of stuff is being brought up. So I really liked Aquaman, Green Arrow, Deep Target. I love those characters, but give this one a try, because I think once people read it, they'll be intrigued enough they want to keep reading it. And we have this super nice, I mean, this series going forward, if you see all the variants for it, are so awesome. This is I believe this is the INHYUK Lee variant.
Okay, so I got to read again, 4 or 5 pages.
I know this time I get to be like, oh, you won. This arguing about who gets to cover something.
I got to read 4 or 5 preview pages from Star Wars Darth Vader number 17. It is another War of the Bounty Hunters tie-in, possibly the last Vader tie-in to it. And in this one, Ochia Bestoon, who of course is sort of like Vader's man, he's his go-to man to go kill people that he's too busy killing other people.
Yeah, Ochi's like there, but you can tell is constantly on the verge of like, is Vader about to kill me? Like I could say one wrong word and it's done.
So Ochi is busy fighting with Sly Moore down on this planet, and Sly Moore is trying to get him to understand that they should not fight. That like what he's doing is actually going to mess up Vader's goal. Meanwhile, the other part of the story, and this is just from the 4 5 pages I could read, Vader's still after Luke. He's going after him. Now, we've seen the movies. We know how far this can go. But the question that they're going to bring up is more what calls Vader off? What stops this exchange? And I can already see that it's starting to get answered in this one. The issue itself is called... it was called Just Rewards. And what I'll say, from what I've seen, it looks to me like that's said in a more sarcastic way, not like you really get what you want.
Yeah.
So that's all I was able to see from this issue. Looking forward to reading it, but...
Yeah, it's been interesting, especially I wasn't expecting the turn in War of the Bounty Hunters. When Vader was there, he was ready to throw down, and he sensed Luke was there, like flying by. And you're going like, well, I know, they don't really have a confrontation until later, but seeing like, you almost wonder now between the movies, why wasn't Vader just hunting him down nonstop? And I think that's cool. You're kind of seeing, well, he did try a couple of times, but things got in the way.
And by the end of this, you may also see that there might be somebody kind of keeping him from it. So that's the most I'll say. And so we also have the Carbonite variant. I'm putting the Carbonite with the regular, so you just shift right to it. So you just regular, then zoom, you freeze it. And then we have the handbook variant. This, of course, is before all the trade dress and everything will be on there. And lastly, we have the 50th anniversary Lucasfilm variant.
I think this is going to be a big one with Savage Opress and Darth Maul. People are just crazy for Darth Maul's on a cover, but this time his brother is on the cover too. So
So once again, I know we're not holding the books up this week, but these are the ones that are out in your store tomorrow. So these are the ones you might want to ask for.
Next up is a series that, after reading this, is another... I mean, I loved issue 1. It was crazy and just high adventure. Like high action adventure. I read this one, I'm like, oh my gosh, they did it again. This is Deathstroke Inc. or Deathstroke Incorporated number 2. And in this one, exactly what it looks like on the cover, Deathstroke and Black Canary go to space. So they're still working for this company called Trust. We still don't know a whole lot about them, but we know that Black Canary and Deathstroke are working for them a little reluctantly.
Yeah, they have their own reasons.
They have their own reasons for doing it. But in this one, there is a research station in space that has been compromised, and they are sent to intervene, save the people who are on the station, the scientists. And it's Deathstroke, Black Canary, and a suit of Batman armor. So this is, I think, the Batman armor back from Scott Snyder's run that Batman put on when he froze the Court of Owls out. It's like that big mech suit. And it's being piloted remotely by Hero, or the new Toy Man, who was revealed in the last issue that he's working with him as well.
Right.
So this is a really fun, weird team-up of Deathstroke, Black Canary, and Toy Man going to rescue these people. But when they get there, they realize that it has been... The reason it's compromised is there is a supervillain there using this research facility for their own gains. And I won't give away who it is, but it's a character I'm a big fan of. But what I thought was really interesting is their plan with this, what this villain is doing, involves a character from the DC universe that I have possibly never read anything I'm aware of, but have never. I don't think they've been in any team book. I don't think they've been in anything. I just kind of have seen the name here and there. Maybe in an issue of Brave and the Bold I read. But it's really cool. So Joshua Williamson is pulling in some deep cuts into this. But even crazier is because of this character's power, you realize maybe the scope of this. I'll say in this, you see a scene from the issue of Flash you just reviewed, where the sword came down.
Yeah.
And you saw who has
I was
it.
wondering if that was the character you were thinking of. I think I know what villain you might be talking about.
So that person is seen. You see some scenes from Batman. You see some scenes from Justice League. You see the entire Checkmate team all in a 2-page spread. So you realize, oh, this Joshua Williamson is a big writer at DC now. He's taking on, I mean, he's going to be the writer of Batman.
Right.
He wrote Infinite Frontier. I was surprised at first. I was like, oh, it's funny he's doing this kind of small story about Deathstroke. This leads me to think this is actually a bigger deal than what we originally thought. Because you're getting some hints at everything in the DC universe here. Like some very specific scenes from books that you may have just read or are going to be reading. So keep an eye out for this one. I really like this one. This reminds me of some classic DC Comics adventure, action, just over the top, fun banter and everything. This was, if we're going to pick our reads of the week, this may be my favorite one.
Oh man, I really can't do it. I didn't get to read enough. But.
Out of the couple I've read, this might be my pick. I don't know. There's some really good DC versus Vampires. It's between those two, and then of course we have the MATTINA variant for this one.
Okay, so I also got to read some preview pages from War of the Bounty Hunters IG-88. This was good. As much as I like Vader and read Vader, I'm even more looking forward to this one now that I read the first 4 or 5 pages. The first thing to say is there appears to be a first appearance in it of someone or something named RB919. So we like to let people know about first appearances. And RB919, I can't say if it's a droid, I can't say if it's a half human, half droid, if it's a person that's augmented. I'm not sure. I just got to see a little bit. But just we like to let people know first appearances. So what this is about, it starts out, we're not with IG-88 on a job or anything. It's actually more somebody musing over how different humans and aliens think of death versus droids. You know, the droids can do some incredible things. Like IG-88 was an incredible killer. But when he dies, he's not looked upon the same way a person is.
Yeah.
And when a droid dies, there's no like ritual to it. Like they'll just leave the scattered parts wherever. You know, we like, for instance, we humans, we bury our dead and we have rituals. So it's a lot of musing over that. Very well written. And I think all that is probably done by this RB919 character who may be linked in with how does IG-88 keep getting rebuilt?
Yeah.
To continue going after Vader and others. So that's sort of the takeaway from the beginning of it. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of it. Very strong opening, though. You know, it's like when you go to read something like this, it's like, I guess in my mind, I was like, I want to see a really cool mercenary thing. But it gave me something I didn't expect that it did well, which I guess I enjoyed more in that way.
Yeah.
So,
and it's interesting, a character like IG-88, you think of like a strong character, almost like Vader, where he's unstoppable because, I mean, he can deflect blaster bolts, you know, with the Force and everything.
The Force, yeah.
But IG-88 is unstoppable. Even here, it's very like, almost looks like the scene in Terminator.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he can be defeated, but he'll just come right back. Someone can rebuild him and put his brain processor and something else. So I like when they explored that aspect of him, is he's unstoppable for a different reason.
There are advantages to death as a droid. You might not have loved ones crying for you, but you can get put back together.
Yep.
So we also have I'm going to freeze it, Carbonite variant.
Whoa.
And then we have the Wingeguard variant.
I love that one. That's just so cool.
Protecting its prize. And the Friends Handbook variant.
He looks so lonely without the text on the side of it. He's just in a void.
And yeah, so that's all the variants there.
Next up is one that I got to read, Aquaman the Becoming #2. Now, funny thing about reading this one, there was no color to it. So I was just reading the inked pages, which as an artist, I appreciate. I was really marveling at the line work, but I bet it's even nicer colored. But this is cool because I really like the first one of this. It sold really well here. People are really into Jackson Hyde as he's slowly... It's not said that he's taking over the mantle of Aquaman, but it helps to have more people in your team, just like Batman has Robins and everything. There's been multiple Batmans. Jackson Hyde is kind of working his way up because he knows he'll eventually have to take over that mantle. In this, Aquaman is still off on a mission on Mars with Frankenstein, which please give us that series as well. Can't wait to see that. But in the last issue, he was framed for destroying part of Atlantis, the palace, like an attack. So he is now being hunted by kind of the police force of Atlantis, and they are pretty ruthless going after him. So he is on the run, but I'll say more than him, I would say more this issue is about Mera. So Mera is also still behind. Aquaman in the first issue kind of gave charge to Mera and Jackson on protecting Atlantis. And in this, the Atlantean police force now go and question Mera because they believe she knows something about what's happened. Now, what's funny about it is Jackson and Mera are actually, neither of them are Atlantean. They're both from Zeeble, the neighboring, sometimes warring undersea kingdom. And these Atlantean soldiers kind of have a thing where they don't like them, so they think she might be in cahoots with him because, they're from the same place. But this is awesome because Mera, I mean, she's, as much as I love Aquaman, Mera's right up there because she is super tough. Now she's a mother, so she's got Andy with her. And you want to see her pretty much take down guards with her words and just her, like, royal prowess. It's really cool, but this definitely explores that the Aquaman family with Jackson and Mera and Andy and Arthur, they're a tighter group than just being Atlanteans. They stay in more constant contact with each other and work together more than what it seems. But this was a really good issue. I'll say it is more Mera than it is Jackson, but I love that they're kind of bringing up the entire cast. And like I said on our show when I reviewed Black Manta, we do know that there is a storyline coming up that I believe it's going to go over all the Aquaman-related books called, like, Rise of the Aquaman or something Aquaman, where seems like there's going to be multiple versions of Aquaman in it. So, another great read, another great second issue to it.
I like how the Atlantean police are just so barking up the wrong tree. Like, issue 1, it's Jackson Hyde that did it. Issue 2, and it's probably Mera also.
Yeah. And you do see Mera going to meet with a family on land that was also from her home city, and how they respond to her kind of out of the normal element of it. So really cool, great issue, and it's got a variant by Kari Randolph.
Okay, so those are all the comics that we actually had full versions or at least previews of a few pages. We don't want to leave everybody in the lurch though, so we're going to go over real quick. We're going to show you the other big ones that should be coming out this Tuesday or Wednesday at your comic store. Starting with, of course, House of Slaughter #1. Oh, I wish
What is
that
it
Boom
now?
had
What's
sent
this
us a
one
preview for
about? I
this.
haven't heard of this one. Huh.
I hate that Boom didn't send us a preview version. I gotta wait like everybody else to read it when it
You get
comes
to be a
out.
normie. You have to wait for your
Yeah,
comics.
I know. I gotta go in a different store on Wednesday and be like, let me have
You're
one.
gonna go. Do you have House of Slaughter? Like, sorry, we're sold out.
So this, of course, is one of the biggest books this week that I'm sure everyone's gonna want to look for. And the House of Slaughter is just one of the houses of the Order of Saint George.
Mhm.
This book is going to be all about its history, like when did it start, who are the people in it. So I'm really looking forward to it. So here's the regular cover. Here is the variant by Deladera. Deladera, of course, is the artist for Something's Killing the Children.
Mhm.
And then we have the blank sketch variant.
Next up is one that we have a personal connection to, but this is Batman the Long Halloween Special. This one has been 20 something years in the making, well, since there was the last Long Halloween. And this is going to be just a one shot, but by the original team of Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb, coming back together to tell another story in the Long Halloween. It's kind of its own little pocket in the mythos of Batman.
Yeah.
And this one is going to focus, from what I hear, from a reputable source who may have had a hand on every page, a bit more about Harvey Dent, Two-Face, and some kind of mysteries behind him. So, as I was referring to, we are friends with the letter of this book. He was just here today. I talked to him, but very excited about this. We're even doing a signing at our store right before Halloween for Batman the Long Halloween Special. So we're very excited about this one. We're invested in this quite a bit.
I wonder how long this was in the making, just because Long Halloween was such a while back now, but so iconic. I mean, it's one of those books that I don't care if somebody walks in as 2021. It's like, oh, you want to read all the good Batman stuff? You got to get Long Halloween.
Yeah,
That's
it has
one
become one of the go-to evergreen titles that
Yeah.
you always hand to people. But apparently, this has been in some form of development, at least in the talking stage, for a very long time. It's kind of schedules never quite worked out, and finally they've come together to finish this with the original creative team.
That's awesome.
And then there is the variant also by Tim Sale.
Another big book this week from Marvel is Daredevil number 35. This is the finale. This is the last Daredevil book that they're making with the current team. Once again, we don't have this to do an early review, but it's supposed to be where by the end of it, it's decided, possibly through battle partly, who is going to continue to be Daredevil. Because you have Elektra, who has been Daredevil while Matt Murdock's been in prison. Well, he's out now. So I don't know how all that's going to shake out, but I'm going to check it out as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one to look for. And then here is the Jusco variant in the very popular Jusco line.
Yeah.
Like that's been building at our shop. More and more people have been like grabbing these up.
Yeah, getting multiple copies. Some
Yeah.
people grabbing 2 and 3.
So
next up is Primordial number 2. So I have not read number 1 yet.
You
of this.
haven't. You
See,
fool.
I know I've got it. I haven't read it. I've heard a lot about it, but
I mean, they got a communist puppy on there. Look at the symbol, and it's that's Leica, the communist puppy that got sent into space.
But of course, this is by Jeff Lemire and Sorrentino, the classic team. So this one is also coming out.
This issue number 2 is one of the ones I'm most looking forward to reading. And I looked all through our email. I was like, please have sent us in advance. Because they sent us number 1 in advance, but no such luck. So looking forward to this.
And the Shimizu variant.
This is actually the Walta
Oh,
variant.
this is the Walta, and then the next one, yes, is the Shimizu variant.
So look for all these at your store. So here's one. Batman Fortnite Foundation is coming out.
This is big.
Yes, this is big, not because, some people want it because it's a comic and we love comics. Some people want it because it's another Fortnite comic and it does come with a skin. What's the skin going to be?
This is big. Like
The Batman Who Laughs
is
is the Fortnite skin that you get with the code in this. So, tell your mama, tell your friends, tell your kids, all the people who play Fortnite, because it's of all ages. I've
Yeah.
met people I would never expect to play Fortnite, and they do.
Yeah, and this one is by
Scott
Scott
Snyder.
Snyder.
Yep.
So, I mean, and I believe this one is about where the last one, Batman and Catwoman and Harley went into the Fortnite universe. This is where the Fortnite characters are coming to Gotham.
Coming to Gotham.
So that's
right.
going to be cool. Now you're on Batman's home turf.
Yep. So another real big one to look out for. And then here is the Garner variant for that.
And apparently, so this character that's also on there, I don't remember his name, but in the recent season of Fortnite, they do like seasons and everything. In the opening little credits cutscene, this was a character who awoken from under the water, like they've been long dormant. Everything. So I think they're going to be exploring some of what seems to be maybe a pretty big Fortnite kind of continuity story character. So next up is Amazing Spider-Man 77. So we had a couple weeks off, about a week off from our 3 issues of Amazing Spider-Man a month. And now I feel like now we're really getting into, those first 2 issues were kind of setting up Ben Reilly for this new era of Amazing Spider-Man. And this one seems to be kicking off the main story. This one is by Kelly Thompson, and the art is by Sarah Pichelli, who was one of the creators of Miles Morales. So they really got in some big names for this one. And in this one, we learn more about the people behind the Beyond Corporation who are sponsoring this Spider-Man, who have legally gotten the rights to the name Spider-Man. And we're going to learn some of the key players in that, and maybe what's their end game. What are they actually trying to do with this?
And this person is proving that when you put on a Spider-Man mask, your nose vanishes.
Oh yeah, not a bump in sight. And then of course we have the Just Go variant.
Yeah, that's got to be the Just Go. So also out this week is Spawn number 323. With Gunslinger having been out the previous week, I'm sure more and more people have signed up for Spawn. I keep upping the numbers we order because it's like, oh, people are coming in for that. They're going to jump back on that regular series. This one, and I think this is really smart of McFarlane and the Spawn team, it says a classic Spawn villain is going to be back. So if you have people who haven't read them in a while coming back, I mean, that's what to do. Let's have some characters that we all recognize from the first 20 issues everyone bought. So that's supposed to be in here. And here is the Clown variant by Barrow's. I think this one is very strong.
A lot of people were talking about this one being like, this cover has Captain America, Iron Man, Captain America, who's in the middle? Batman and Wonder Woman. Which is like, okay, not
Kids
quite.
asked them, but I mean, it's still brilliant, awesome, cover to do.
I mean, we think we've hit peak McFarlane, but I think there's so much more to go. I got the alert for the next wave of the new Spawn figures that are hitting mass retail and Targets and Walmarts. We've got all these new books launching. This is the second renaissance of Spawn.
Yep, and let's hope we didn't get allocated, because that's the one problem with Spawn things now is everybody wanting so much of it. So.
Yep. Next up is Detective Comics number 1044. So this is still a Fear State tie-in, but it feels like this is going to be our last Fear State tie-in, and it kind of is setting up what's to come for the future. So it talks about in this that we're actually going to get some of the early talks and people discussing Arkham Tower, which we do know is going to be a storyline coming up that's actually, I believe, going to be weekly. Detective Comics is going to go weekly for, I think, a month or so about this Arkham Tower, where they, since EDDY, basically Arkham Asylum is a no-go. They can't use it. It's inhabitable. And they are now moving it to a tower location, which I have a feeling it's going to be a tower we are familiar with.
Sounds a lot like the Tower of London, which is sort of infamous for, the terrible, cruel, crazy things that went on
Yes.
there.
And so I'm really excited about this. I think we're going to see maybe Jocasta Joy, the new
Right.
doctor that we've been introduced with Arkham. I feel like the Arkham Tower stuff is going to be very big coming up soon. And then, of course, we have the variant by, I believe this is Bermejo.
Oh, yes. So, also coming out is Darkhold Blade. So, Blade's Darkhold one-shot. He's one of the people chosen. He has to read the Darkhold book. And in his crazy nightmare, you can kind of see it there, he becomes Lord of the Vampires, the last thing he wants to be. And there's a few holdout heroes who he's trying to take down.
Mm.
So truly sort of the inverse of everything Blade really stands for.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to reading this one. The Darkhold stuff has been really good. So let's see. There's also a connecting variant. And lastly, the Bustos Stormbreaker variant. Another of those where Venom's appearing in it.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
I guess it's because of the movie.
Yeah.
But these aren't like called Venom movie variants or anything. It's just they've just subtly sprinkled them across the line. Next up is a new Hellboy. This is Hellboy Silver Lantern Club. And I believe, yes, this is a 5-issue miniseries, much like a lot of the recent Hellboy stuff is. But this one takes place in a house where an exorcism has gone wrong. And, of course, Hellboy is right in there to deal with it, along with some backstory about Professor Broom that we haven't got before. So, another great Hellboy miniseries starting.
Okay, so Robin #7 is coming out. I've been waiting for this one. I've been really enjoying the Robin stuff. Now the real tournament has started. But look at the cover. More than, meanwhile you have this deadly tournament, but Robin and Flatline shared a kiss, and now it looks like he may have a girlfriend. I think that scares him more than the Life and Death tournament. I really do. And they keep bringing up that Damian Wayne likes manga, so they put him in Flatline on a manga. I just think this cover
it's
so hilarious.
Yeah, it's such like a modern cover. I don't know if
we're catching Damian at a moment he would hate for anyone to catch him at.
Deep reading in his stories.
So that's coming out tomorrow, or I guess Wednesday, or Tuesday rather, at some stores, Wednesday at others. And then here is the Manipul variant with Ra's al Ghul, who I will probably be making another appearance in this one as well.
Yeah, it's a cool
grandfatherly wisdom.
Scary grandfatherly wisdom.
Yeah.
Don't always listen to it. Next up is Star Wars. This is the Star Wars Adventures Monster of Temple Peak #3 of 4. So this has been a really cool series with this character who's an ex-Jedi turned monster hunter. We've had a lot of people get this one. It's a great addition to the High Republic saga, exploring all the different facets of it. So, yep, #3 of 4.
Crossover #9 is coming out. I'm, been reading all of this, and I have to say, the solicitation says, what is the next comic creator to die? I think Donny Cates is going to take all his anger out on every creator.
Do you think he consults them first? It's like, hey, do you mind if I kill you in my comic?
Well, he killed Zdarsky, and then Zdarsky got to read. Or no, he didn't kill him. He sent him on the run.
Yeah.
He killed Vaughn.
You got to talk to Brian K. Vaughan about that and see if that's okay.
Well, we'll see, because I know lately Dinesh posted like a joke picture sort of at him. So if Dinesh from Bad Idea and Valiant dies, then we'll know that Donny Cates is taking out his anger. But still, crossover #9, and here is the Pinosian variant, which is cool. Just a real close-up, nice close-up of Ellie.
I really want in it that since the comic world and our world have combined and the barriers have been shattered, that Todd McFarlane gets the Spawn suit. Can we have Spawn Todd McFarlane? I think that would just be...
I guess to control his chains, and he goes, I quit doing art, this is all I ever wanted.
He's the best at chains. Next up is Wonder Girl. This is Wonder Girl #4. So, really been enjoying this series. And don't know what to expect out of this one. I'm very interested now that we're leading in towards possibly a well, we know we're getting a big crossover series, and some of the books are starting to reflect that. So this is the A cover, and then we have the Campbell variant cover.
Yeah, this series has some really great art, but I don't know what to expect from it either. Every issue, it's like she's learning things and going places that's like I couldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, it's because it's a whole new. We haven't like explored the DC Brazil
Yeah.
and what lies there and what gods and what creatures and everything.
Yep. And where did she come from? Why is she, related to all this?
Yep.
So, all right. So Inferno #2 is coming out. This, of course, is Hickman's sort of ending to everything he started in House and Powers of X.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, Secrets and Lies of Krakoa come to the surface. Big surprise. Who knows how many other things he even had planned. In interviews, it sounded like he had so much more, and now I think it's just sort of getting sped up and pushed out.
Yeah.
But I think it's time. I think it is time.
Yeah, and I'm interested because this one talking about like the secrets and lies of Krakoa.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a series, I believe, in January with Sabretooth. And Sabretooth was the
He's
first...
been treated really badly.
He was the first person to really be like put on trial by Krakoa and then sentenced basically to like prison underground. He like got sucked into Krakoa. I have a feeling it was not going to be long.
Krakoa Purgatory. Until
Sabretooth reemerges and is the one who has a lot of the secrets.
And I bet Mystique's going to let him out.
Hey, Mystique,
that's just
she made her promise of burning Krakoa to the ground, and she's doing a good job at it.
Yeah. Okay, so here is the Momoko variant. And then we have the Vega variant and the Dekal variant.
It's cool.
And lastly, of course, the Jusko variant.
Just classic Marvel.
Yep.
Emma Frost. Next up, one of my favorite new series. This is Echo Lands #3. So in the end of the last issue, our team of ragtag sewer dwellers are now on the run. They've taken over a ship and headed to the high seas. As you can see on the cover, I can't wait for this. I just love this crazy fantasy land that's been set up. And with the last issue, we're starting to get hints of maybe what this world is or who these characters are. Are they characters we've seen before? Are they literary characters? We'll have to see, but I'm thinking maybe starting now we're going to start getting hints. Maybe when they go to the sea, are they going to run into a Moby Dick or Captain Ahab type character or Nemo? We'll have to see, but I mean, look at the cover. I mean,
they feel like character archetypes, almost like the dream that gets written by artists that kind of all resemble each other. I mean, the main character, her name is Hope Red Hood. Just
kind of that like innocent but adventurous, getting into trouble character, and then there's your like classic mobster character and everything, and the big brutish warrior guy. So very excited about this. I'm can't wait for this. And then we have the Oming variant, which is interesting to see Michael Avon Oming doing one, which doesn't really resemble anything in the book so far. We haven't really seen a modern city or anything. So
I bet we will, though.
I mean
not just off the cover, but just it seems like they put anything in this they want.
Yeah, whatever they want to draw, it's in this book.
Yeah. So this is Harley Quinn #8. This is also releasing. Now, Harley is supposed to be off with her friends doing stuff, and from what the solicitation reads, this might be at least partly a Kevin solo issue. Harley's, sort of helper and friend that she, is trying to prove that if you work for the Joker, you're not all bad. But yeah, Kevin writes up the solicitation, and he says while Harley's away, he's going to help protect Gotham. But it sounds like he might get some unexpected help. So, I wish I could have this now and read it and tell you. It might be a split story. It might just be a Kevin story. I'm interested, but that's coming out as well. And here is the Derek Chu variant. So much energy in this.
They're so vibrant. You
could almost like hear them screaming and such.
It's like his covers could be turned into like neon signs and glow.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Black Widow number 12. I mean, also talk about a super hot series.
Yeah.
Black Widow has been so good. I feel like these characters that haven't traditionally had long running series like Black Cat or Black Widow, people slept on them at first and now are realizing how good they are. And Black Widow introducing some new characters, bringing in some characters like Aranya, the Spider Girl,
Yep.
and everything has been really cool. And in this one, they have to investigate something. They have to wear it. It requires formal wear. It says they're not too excited about that. It sounds like they were maybe infiltrating a swanky party or something. So also just another great cover. For all of the Black Widow covers have been incredible. And then we have the Jesco variant.
Yeah, she has her little team now. So, all right. So that is the end. We don't have a proper end screen because we're doing this format kind of differently this week. So thank you for bearing with us. We hope we still have been helpful in telling you what we know as much as we can at this moment about these comics. And, you know, taking a deeper dive because we read them all too.
Yeah.
So we talk about them, we read them all. And at the very least, we showed you most of the major ones you're going to want to look for at your comic store tomorrow. So we will be back next week with our normal format. We'll both have heads full of, you know, all the dozens of comics we actually read.
Well, I'll have a big stack of comics next to me.
We'll be holding them up like we usually do. So, but until then, we hope this holds you over. So go out to your local store, buy the comics you want, read them, and join us next week. So have a good rest of your day.